Hey guys, it's me, Urban Gardener, and it's time to set up the AirCube system distributed by Growstar.com. Link in the description. So we're going to be setting up this 6-site bucket system, the active oxygen grow system, which has an inner liner of a fabric pot, which allows for air pruning. We've got the T&B Naturals sponsored 5x5 all cleaned up and ready to go. So now it's time to set up this 6-bucket system. I've been reading up in this manual, so I've got a pretty good idea of what we'll be doing here. So I'll take you kind of step by step through it. I'll tell you what I'm doing, and we'll get this thing set up. We'll be setting up the 6-bucket system, and we actually have the 60-gallon reservoir. First thing we need to do is set up our reservoir. Then we'll need to set up the brain controller. And finally, set up the buckets. So the first thing I'm going to actually do is I'm going to place my buckets and cut some tubing, because we will be needing to cut the tubing into 6 2-foot pieces and 1 3-foot piece. So we have the tubing. Right there. So now let's cut the tubing. And there you go. Next thing to do is pull out these buckets, and then I'll arrange them just about where I want them. And now let's go ahead and take out these buckets. And there you have it. That's about the basic setup that I'm going to want these AirCubes here. Trying to utilize my 5x5 space here the best way I can, because I have to leave some room for the reservoir. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the reservoir right back there. And then I'm going to have to figure out exactly how I'm going to get the brain system in here. I'm probably going to have to pull it out just a little bit forward here. So that's why I haven't even bothered putting on the buckets. I'm just giving you guys first a little idea of how we're going to set it up, because you want to get an idea of how you want to set it up first before you actually put all your work and effort into putting it together. You don't want to have to take apart again to move it around, or move it around when it is together. And now let me go over and get the reservoir and the brain, and we'll put those in. Okay, so we have the advanced brain controller module. So when you're going to need to pull this out. So let's go ahead and take this out of the box. So here's the advanced brain controller, and it's got some of the stuff we need to set it up. So you're going to want to pull all this out of the bucket. And we have a couple of floats in here, so you're going to want to be careful of these floats. So when you're pulling all the stuff out of your brain controller bucket, be careful, because there are 2 floats in here, and they're going to fit into these 2 little spots right here. So we'll get those situated properly before everything runs, but I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of these 2 little floats, and they do have some wires attached to them, so you're going to want to be real careful with that. So there we go, we have the whole bucket emptied. Now, before we place our brain module here, we're going to have to organize the tent here. You know, I did do a quick layout of how I wanted the buckets, but now that we have the controller, and now I'm going to go get the reservoir and we're going to put that up, then we can really situate how we want it. So I suggest first break out your buckets and give yourself a general idea of what you want, and then once you've kind of figured it out, then you can rearrange just a little bit to get everything in here. So now let's go ahead and construct our ultra heavy duty collapsible reservoir. So the first thing it says to do is put on the fitting for the outlet tap. So that is right here. So let me open up this bag. So here it is, and we're gonna wanna fit it on like so. So let's come on over to our reservoir and let's find out. Okay, so there we go. That's where we're gonna need this. So let's go ahead and throw this on. Bam! See how easy that was? It just goes right on by itself. All right, so now we need to put the fitting connectors here. It says fit connector to 6 of the support poles. So we have our support poles here. So we're gonna wanna put on these connectors. Okay, so I have these 6 connectors here, and I need to put them on those rods right there. So let's get this done and see how easy we can do this. And look at that. They just put themselves right on. The next step will be fitting first support pole. So let's try this and let's see if we can get these guys on here. So ready? 1, 2, 3. Bam! Look at that. Thing just goes up by itself. Pop tank. So that's a 60-gallon pop tank. And now these support beams here, they go in here and then come through here, and then you need to cap them off. I've got 2 caps on already. So now let's go ahead and put the rest of these caps on. So let's see it here. 1, 2, 3. All right, there you go. They're all on, all screwed on. And so I did want to point out that when you do put in these support bars here, at the bottom of the reservoir, there will be some that are like these that have the little indentation. So that's where you want your pole to go in. And then you see there's other ones without an indentation. So that's when you know you have it in the right one. Make sure that those are all screwed up. And there is your reservoir all set up, ready to go. If you look on the inside here, it even has different gallon marks on there in a 10-gallon interval. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 gallons. And when it's completely full, it is a 60-gallon tank. Then you do have your tap right there. So now we've got our reservoir system set up. Now we just need to connect our brain module and then see how we're going to lay these out. The one thing about this 60-gallon reservoir is it does take up quite a bit of room. Now, I could put this on the outside of the tent, so that's always an option, guys. You could put it through the outside of your tent and then just run the water lines through your vent hole there. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take up the extra room in here. But first, let's get this whole thing set up with the reservoir and the brain module so we can figure out how it's going to work. I think what's really going to happen here in the end is we're going to have 6 buckets coming along this side. The reservoir will be here and the brain module will actually be here. So we won't quite be setting it up exactly like it is here, but we will make do with it because you do not have to set it up exactly like it's set up here. You can manipulate your setup a little bit. So I'll show you how I'll be manipulating my setup so it will all fit in this nice tight 5x5. So I would highly recommend at least a 5x5 for this system. Now what we need to do is get this brain system ready, and what we're going to need is 2 straight connectors and 4 stoppers, and they're all right here. So let me get them out of the bag. So here is our stoppers, and we're going to want to put 4 stoppers in here like so. Let me pull this like this, and then you'll just take these and you'll pop them in there like that, another one in there like that, and then we'll want to put a straight in like so. And there you have it, your straight connector. So now we have to do the same thing on this side. Now all we need to do is get in these other 2 stoppers and this straight. So let's go ahead and put these in. And there you go. That's simple. All right, so now all we need to do is we're gonna put these guys right here. These are the T's. And we're going to put those in these buckets. Then after we do that, then we will put the tubing in and the pumps. So to get these T's in, what we need to do is flip the bucket over like this. We have these grommets. We'll need to put these grommets in the bottom of the buckets like so. There you go. So that's how the grommet fits in there. And then the T, it's the same thing. So you do that. And there you go. You have your T in. So now what we need to do is go ahead and flip all these buckets here. Alright, there we go. Alright. So let's see, we got 5 more grommets to put in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now let's go ahead and throw all these grommets in there. That was easy enough. All right. Now we have these other T's that we need to put in. Let's throw those to each one of these. So there we go. Now we need to get these in. So it's as easy as a snap. And there you go. We got all our T's on. Now we're just going to have to take all this tubing here, and we're going to have to throw all this tubing on. So I wanted to stop right here so I could show you guys how the hoses go on. I'm going to have to flip it over for the hoses to be completely connected. So I just wanted to let you guys see how that they go on. So now I'm going to go ahead and hook it completely up and flip it over. So now what we want to do is put 2 of these straights in here into the brain control lid. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, there you go. Those are in. Now we just need to make our tubes that go into the reservoir, and then it's putting in the pumps, and then we're pretty much done. So we have one of our pumps right here. This will be the drain pump. We're going to go ahead and put that inside of the brain module. I've already cut some of the tubing here that is going into the reservoir, and that is going to go into our fill pump. First, let's go ahead and throw our pump into the brain module here, our drain pump, and you do want to pick your largest barbed outlet there. You're going to want to cut this tubing so there's plenty of slack. I think mine's got a little too much slack, so we'll cut a little end off here. Okay, there you go. Drain pump is in. Now we just need to take this and we will be plugging it into the drain pump outlet right here. Okay, we've got our fill pump at the bottom of the reservoir, and we have it plugged into the fill pump outlet. So now there's one last important step that we need to do with the fill hose, and we need to put a vacuum, an anti-vacuum siphon is what it basically is. So let's go ahead and do that. We've got our puncture tool here, so we'll just put a hole in, and then we will put our little elbow piece. This is our little elbow piece we need to put in our punctured hole here, so let me put that in. Alright, we've got that in now. Now the last thing that we have to do is put our drain tube from the top of the brain module into the reservoir, and finally throw in the fabric pot system into these 5-gallon buckets. So let me get that final step done. And there you go, guys. It's all done. Last thing to do will be to put my medium into the buckets, and I'll be using a mix of Oasis at the bottom and Coco Coir at the top. There you have it with its pump in there. That's the drain pump. Then you have your timer here. This is your fill tube. And there's inside the reservoir. And we will be using Fox Farms, the Fox Farms Trio, to grow in this grow. And don't forget to go to growace.com, link down there in the description, and you could get all your grow needs, including the AirCube. There is a link in the description to the AirCube, as well as a discount code for, I believe, 5% off of the AirCube system at growace.com. So with that, guys, there is your AirCube active oxygen hydroponic system with its air pruning fabric 5-gallon buckets. Keep happy, stay stoned, and urban garden. And if you would like to get a discount on this product, there is a link in the description. So check out the link in the description and go to growace.com. Also link in the description, and they have all your grow needs.